Welcome to the NAS Corner. We have got 4 network attached storage appliances, and the focus on this in this video is going to be on this one right here, which you can see I've got information up about on the screen. This is the this is NAS1. This is the one that I built out of the parts from the Pentium D rig and shoved, into this compact case that was given to me by Ross ACB. This thing has been running for a long time. If we go over here, you can see, maybe, potentially, I don't know what you're looking at right now, because I'm not looking at the viewfinder, I'm more concerned with the power supply. You can get an idea as to what it is, hopefully, maybe. Apparently it thinks it's 350 megahertz. You can see the uptime, and you can see some system specifications there. What we're going to do is an upgrade, but a very modest upgrade. You see, that thing gets rather hot because, of course, it's a Pentium D, and that is a Prescott core. Actually, it's 2 Prescott cores shoved under the same die, so you can imagine that produces quite a fair amount of heat. So, in order to help mitigate some of that, the original Pentium D rig had a fan in it, so here's a fan. We will be installing this fan, which is really just a cheapie. I have no idea if it's any good, but I suppose we can find out. Unfortunately, it's a 4-pin fan, which you might not actually be able to even see. Now you should be able to see it. It's a 4-pin fan, so... And that doesn't... I don't even know if that motherboard has another header for it, but I do know that it will not be able to take advantage of the PWM control on this fan. Not that it really matters, because I don't care, it's a server anyways. Here's another upgrade that we will be potentially adding. It's not much of an upgrade. It's basically exactly the same power supply as what's going in. However, it is certified for 80+. So assuming the power supply even works, well, we'll be doing that. I will also be upgrading the RAM from, I think it's got 1.5 in it right now, to 2 gigs, which is the maximum, at least theoretically, unless you can find a 2 gigabyte DDR memory module. Which, good luck. Doubt quite the fair amount of RAM here. We'll be picking out of this pile. Most of it's 1 gig modules. At least I'm assuming they're 1 gig modules. Maybe they're kits too, I don't know. But hopefully, with any luck, this will actually work. So let's stop yakking and start working. Okay, let's go in and shut her down. I made note of the uptime. See how long it actually takes. Can't really see it from this angle, sorry. I mean, I could get up, but this cord is tangled around the chair. Looks like it's down. Heard the hard drive shut off, at least. There it goes. It's now a lot quieter in here, too, isn't it? Well, then. Guess we will not be doing a power supply upgrade. Check this out. This is the power supply connection for the power supply that's in the machine already. This is the connector for the power supply that I was going to put in. Not the same. I believe that you can actually get away with plugging a 24-pin power connector into a 20-pin power supply, 24-pin power supply connector into a 20-pin motherboard connector. But I've heard that you have to modify the 24-pin connection, and frankly, I don't feel comfortable doing that, because if I want to use this power supply somewhere else, in a machine that has a 24-pin power connector, well, if I shave that, then I'll be screwed. So let's just not do that, and say that we did. This is actually even a larger power supply. I thought it was the same size, but it's bigger, so I think I'm going to leave that in there, because I'd rather have that with the... If it's got more power than necessary, that's fine. I don't want to push this thing closer to its limits than I would be with that thing. So I just noticed that my date and time disappeared. I actually did manage to get stuff done. Changed out the RAM. Here's the old RAM. I can't believe I still actually have this thing. And it still works. But there's a 1 gig module, and then there's this thing, which is equally as cheap. It's a 512 meg for 1.5 gigs. I put in 2 matched. Let's see, one of them's right here. Well, a similar module. 2 matched memory modules, so if it's only a gig, who cares, but it should be 2 gigs, hopefully. I also installed the fan. By the way, God curse the guy that invented zip ties, and curse the guy who put this stupid thing on there and cranked it to within an inch of its life. That was a pain. I think I've spent about 5 minutes trying to get that stupid zip tie off of this connection here. I wish the people who use zip ties in computers would just die already. Anyways, and yes, I really do mean it when I say that. I hate zip ties in computers. Especially when people tie things to within an inch of its life so you can't get the damn zip tie off. Whoever thought of reuse, huh? I don't think so. Anyway, this does have a little extension thing on it that I really didn't need, but I'm going to leave it on there so I don't lose it, because if I take it off, I'll lose it. So, we won't do that. I've plugged the power supply back in. Now I've got to go find a power cord, which shouldn't be too difficult. I just have to get one. And we will fire it up and see if it actually works, which it probably won't after all of that work. Okay, it's plugged in. On it comes, and I have no fan. Of course not. So I want delete to enter setup, so we can see what we've got installed. Alright, what do we have here? Well, our drives are seen. That's a good sign. Can't really get any better focus than this. I do apologize. So, what's the time showing up as? 11:38. So that's not right, but I believe it's in UTC, so that should be fine. System information. Oh yeah, 2 gigs of RAM, baby. Look at that. Now that I like to see. And there, of course, is our CPU. So, all of that should be good to go. I can go ahead and I can exit. I didn't make any changes because I didn't have to. Oh, one thing I wanted to check out. Hardware monitor. See, we actually do have a fan in there now. It's running pretty quickly, but unfortunately I don't have access to the speed control, so... CPU runs hot, though. I'd love to know why. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off and put it back in its native home. Oops. It's in focus. We are ready for power, so let's give it power. There comes a second fan. It's kind of loud, but I can get used to it. Here's our Rocket Raid card. Bringing in. If it keeps the machine cool, I don't really care. You just watch the boot process. Which is probably completely out of focus because I'm using this camcorder. It's waiting for channel 0 on the card, which doesn't have anything plugged into it. Eventually, someday, I may change the backup drive to a serial ATA drive. I'm not sure yet. I don't really have any spare serial ATA hard drives, though, so... probably won't be happening anytime soon. This thing does not have any image stabilization, so this probably looks like crap right now. Yeah, here we go. I should have put a beeper in there while I had it apart, but oh well, doesn't matter. I'm not going to lose any sleep. Okay, there we go. So now we can go over here to our box, and I hope this camera is recording. It's making kind of unhappy noise with the tape basket. But it looks like it's recording. Yeah, I was looking up using a 24-pin power supply with a 20-pin motherboard. So we'll go ahead, we'll go back to this machine. We will enter our username and password. And we are greeted with what we want to see, mostly anyway. Here's my zoom control, there it is. We have a look. It's focus, we can see 1.82 gigabytes, which is kind of strange, it should be 2. I'm not really sure why it shows up as 1.82. It's probably just a FreeBSD thing. We are running an older version of this software, so what I'm going to do now is go into firmware update. Oh look, they released a version today. How cool is that? So we're going to go ahead and download that, however long that's going to take. Hopefully not too long. And go ahead and save that. Where all of my images are. If the drive ever spins up. Right here. So we'll go ahead and upgrade our firmware. That's going to take quite a bit of time. I think I'll come back when that's done. Alright, woo. It's now finished. So we'll go in, or I will go in, and enable firmware upgrade, which should trigger something over there, and it has, which you might be able to make out. We'll browse for a file. And we'll run upgrade firmware. Which we'll then see it's now sending over the network. Maybe if I get over to the other thing fast enough, we'll be able to see it on this as well. Yeah, you can see it there, sending. It stopped. This should tell us shortly that it will be upgrading the firmware, just like that. Now this machine is upgrading the firmware. This machine is using a 6 gigabyte quantum failball hard drive for boot, which I know is probably not the best idea. I could just use a CF card, maybe I should. But it was free, as opposed to if I went the CF card route, I'd have to buy an adapter and buy the CF card, because I don't really have anything that I consider to be big enough for this. So, we'll live. I have a box of old hard drives I can feed this thing with in the event that we need to. So now the machine is going to shut down once again. should come back. Once again, we'll watch the whole boot process. Not very interesting, but I'm sure some people would like to see it do its magic rather quickly. It's too bad it takes so long to initialize the channels on this Rocket Record card, but such is the way that things go. I guess if I added a device to that channel, it wouldn't be so slow anymore, but I don't really have any devices that I have to add, so... Because my one spare serial ATA hard drive doesn't work, so... I don't really have a spare now, do I? No, not really. Also, creating the memory disks takes a very, very long time. This process. Because it only has to do one. I'd love to know what all these numbers mean, if somebody can tell me. I mean, I know what that means, I know what there's 2 times displayed, there's one that's being partially hidden right now, and I know what that means, but I have no idea what that thing in the middle means. Probably should. I'm guessing it's calculating some kind of load average. I'm not really sure. Dynamically resizing the image? For a RAM disk? I don't know. Seems to go slower as it gets closer to 100%. Okay, I just did a whole bunch of more stuff that I have not seen before. Presumably it's setup stuff for the new firmware. Or basically a new FreeBSD version. As far as I know, that's really what's going on. It's just an update to FreeBSD with all the security updates and patches and things. There we go! That's now up. So if we go back over here, it'll probably ask me to log in again. No, don't resend. Yeah, it wants me to log in. So, yep. Now we should be getting the latest of everything. Looks good to me. So, now it just means I'm going to have to update all of my other network-attached storage appliances. So, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off, and I hope to see you next time. Till then.